Welcome back to our channel, World Coins History. As you knew that old is gold, but these rare $quarter coins that are most valuable than you think, don't spend one of them. You're lucky if you have one of these, so please watch complete video and find your treasure. Let's start this. Top 1. Today, we have something truly extraordinary to share with you. Get ready for a deep dive into one of the most fascinating coins of recent years, the United States 2022 Maya Angelou $quarter. This coin isn't just another piece of currency, it's a tribute to an iconic figure in American history and a rare find that could be worth far more than you might expect. Let's set the stage first. In 2022, the U.S. Mint introduced a special quarter in honor of Maya Angelou, one of America's greatest writers, poets, and civil rights activists. As part of the American Women Quarters program, this coin pays tribute to the trailblazing women who shaped the nation's history. Maya Angelou's legacy, especially through her powerful works like I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, has impacted generations, and now, her likeness is forever immortalized on this beautiful coin. But the Maya Angelou quarter isn't just a tribute, it's a coin with a story, and some of those stories could lead to incredible financial rewards for collectors. Let's take a look at the coin itself. The design on the obverse, the front side, features the familiar portrait of George Washington, just like every other U.S. quarter. But the real standout is the reverse, the back side, where Maya Angelou's image is etched. The design was created by artist Emily Damstra and beautifully captures Maya Angelou with a graceful, flowing image of her standing with her arms outstretched, symbolizing her contributions to literature, culture, and social justice. Surrounding her are the words, United States of America, e pluribus unum, and $quarter, alongside the year 2022. What makes this coin special, aside from the tribute to such an inspiring figure, is the way it connects to Angelou's most famous work, her autobiography, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, which is why the design includes a bird in flight, symbolizing freedom and resilience. But here's where things get really interesting. The Maya Angelou quarter, like many special edition coins, is already rare due to its limited mintage. However, what truly makes this coin stand out in the world of collectors are certain rarities and potential errors that could make it incredibly valuable. And trust us, collectors are paying close attention. Most 2022 Maya Angelou quarters are still relatively easy to find, especially in standard circulation. But what you want to look out for are coins that stand out due to minting errors. Coins with slight imperfections or unique traits are often worth far more than their face value. For instance, some Maya Angelou quarters have been reported with doubling errors where the image is slightly misaligned. This could increase their value significantly. Others may have been struck with too much pressure, resulting in a blurry or distorted image that's highly sought after by error coin collectors. It's also important to note the quality of the coin. While most of the quarters you find in circulation will show signs of wear and tear, a coin that has been preserved in pristine condition could be worth much more. If you happen to find one of these quarters in near-perfect, uncirculated condition, you're sitting on a real treasure. Coins that are graded as MS 65 or higher, which means they have very few imperfections, can fetch impressive amounts, especially when you consider how many have been lost to time and regular circulation. But there's another layer to the Maya Angelou quarter that could push its value even higher. You see, these quarters are part of a limited release. Only a specific number were minted in 2022. And as time passes, the supply of these coins naturally decreases while demand among collectors increases. Coins that feature iconic figures or commemorate significant events tend to rise in value over time, and Maya Angelou's legacy will only become more revered as years go by. This makes the 2022 Maya Angelou quarter not just a piece of history, but a potential gold mine for collectors looking to add a truly valuable coin to their collection. So, now for the big question, how much could a rare Maya Angelou quarter actually be worth? If you happen to find one in perfect, uncirculated condition with no flaws, no scratches, and no signs of wear, especially one with a unique mint error like a double die or other anomaly, then you could be looking at a price tag that will leave you speechless. As of now, the highest valued 2022 Maya Angelou quarter has been known to sell for a whopping $82,000. That's right, $82,000 for a single quarter, thanks to its rarity and historical significance. Now, let's put that into perspective. That's more than just a coin, it's a piece of American history, a tribute to an extraordinary woman who changed the world. It's a treasure that combines artistry, culture, and value, three elements that are hard to come by in one small coin, but remember, not every Maya Angelou quarter is going to fetch this kind of money. The key is rarity, condition, and sometimes, a bit of luck. If you come across a quarter that you think might be special, take the time to examine it closely. If you're unsure, consider having it professionally graded by a reputable numismatic service. It could be the key to unlocking a small fortune. For collectors, this is an exciting time. With so many unique quarters being released as part of the American Women Quarters program, it's never been a better time to dive into coin collecting. Who knows what other treasures you'll find as you continue your journey through the fascinating world of numismatics. Top 2, we have a special treat for you, an absolute gem of a coin, one that may be sitting in your pocket right now or hiding in your coin jar. We're talking about the 1965 United States quarter dollar, a coin that might look like just another quarter at first glance, but believe me, it holds a story, and a potential value, that will blow your mind. Let's start by setting the stage. The year 1965 was a pivotal moment in American history. The country was in the midst of dramatic social and political change. The civil rights movement was in full swing, the Vietnam War was escalating, and President Lyndon B. Johnson was pushing forward his Great Society programs. Against this backdrop, the U.S. Mint made a decision that would lead to a coin that would become a must-have for collectors. The 1965 quarter was part of a dramatic shift in U.S. currency. Before 1965, quarters were made from 90% silver, but in 1965, due to rising silver prices and the cost of coin production, the U.S. government decided to change the composition of the quarter. From that year forward, quarters would be made from a copper-nickel-clad composition instead of solid silver. This was a major turning point in the history of American coins, and it has left us with a very interesting rarity to discover today. Now, when most people think of the 1965 quarter, they don't realize that there are a few key factors that can make this coin exceptionally rare and valuable. First, let's talk about the basics, the design. The 1965 quarter features the familiar portrait of George Washington on the obverse, designed by John Flanagan. This iconic image has graced U.S. quarters for decades and is easily recognizable to anyone who's ever held a quarter in their hand. On the reverse, you'll find a beautiful rendition of an eagle, wings spread wide, with the motto E pluribus unum and the words, quarter dollar. But, the big question is, why is this coin so valuable today? The answer lies in the composition change. Although the 1965 quarter was minted in massive quantities, not all of them were made with the new copper-nickel-clad composition. Some were accidentally struck with the old 90% silver mix. This is where the story gets fascinating and where the coin's value starts to skyrocket. These so-called silver-era quarters are incredibly rare and can fetch impressive amounts in the numismatic market. You see, when the U.S. Mint switched to the copper-nickel-clad mix, the silver coins that were still in the minting system at the time got mixed in with the new metal. This created an error that is now highly sought after by collectors. But here's the catch: finding one of these rare silver-era coins is like finding a needle in a haystack. The minting error was not widespread, and the number of 1,965 quarters that were struck with silver is quite small. So, how do you know if you have one of these rare silver quarters? Well, there are a couple of ways to identify them. First, silver-era quarters will have a distinct weight and appearance compared to regular 1965 quarters. A regular 1965 quarter weighs about 5.67 grams, but the silver version weighs around 6.25 grams due to its higher metal content. If you have a scale handy, you can check the weight. Another method is to look at the edge of the coin. Silver coins will have a shiny, white appearance, while copper-nickel-clad coins will appear more yellowish, but that's not all. Even without the silver error, the 1965 quarter can still be a valuable coin. Coins from this year are part of a transitional period in U.S. minting, and as collectors seek out coins from this era, the demand continues to grow. Even standard 1965 quarters in excellent condition, especially those that have been carefully preserved and graded, can be worth far more than their face value. Now, let's get to the really exciting part. How much can a 1965 quarter actually be worth? Well, if you happen to stumble upon one of those rare silver-era quarters in uncirculated condition, you could be looking at a truly staggering amount of money. In fact, the highest value ever paid for a 1965 silver-era quarter is around $78,000. Yes, you heard that right, $78,000 for a single coin. It's mind-blowing, right? Who would have thought that a quarter, a coin worth just 25 cents when it was first minted, could become a collector's item worth tens of thousands of dollars? But that's the magic of coin collecting. It's all about rarity, history, and the excitement of finding that hidden treasure. Now, remember, not every 1965 quarter is going to be worth that much. The vast majority of them are still circulating, and the silver-era quarters are incredibly rare. But if you happen to find one, or if you have a collection of old quarters, it's worth taking a closer look. Get them professionally graded by a trusted numismatic service, and who knows, maybe you'll be the lucky one who stumbles upon a coin worth a small fortune. For collectors out there, the 1965 quarter is a must-have. Whether you're looking for the rare silver-era coins or just trying to complete your collection, these quarters are a fascinating piece of American history. As time goes on, the value of these coins is only going to increase as more collectors vie for these iconic pieces. So, if you come across a 1965 quarter, don't just toss it aside. Take a closer look. It could be the key to unlocking an unexpected fortune. Top 3, we're diving into a coin that might just surprise you with its potential value, the United States 1971 quarter dollar. This coin may look like a regular quarter at first glance, but there's a fascinating story behind it that makes it a highly sought-after piece for collectors. Whether you're a seasoned numismatist or a beginner, you'll want to stick around to the end of this video, because you won't believe what this little quarter could be worth today. Let's start with a bit of background. The 1971 quarter was part of a shift in the design of U.S. currency. Before this year, quarters were still minted in silver, but 1971 marked a transition as the U.S. government switched to a copper-nickel-clad composition for most of its coins. This change was made to reduce costs as silver prices rose. So, while the 1971 quarter is made of copper-nickel, it's still an important part of coin history due to the time period in which it was minted. Looking at the design, the 1971 quarter features the iconic image of George Washington, the first president of the United States. His portrait, created by artist John Flanagan, has been a hallmark of U.S. quarters for decades. On the reverse side of the coin, you'll find an eagle, wings spread wide, clutching an olive branch and arrows, a symbol of strength and peace. It's a familiar and timeless design, but what really makes the 1971 quarter stand out is its rarity and the potential for errors that could drive its value up significantly. While most of the 1971 quarters that were minted in large quantities are still relatively easy to find, what makes this coin so interesting to collectors is the possibility of discovering rare minting errors. Minting errors are one of the most exciting aspects of coin collecting because they turn what would be a standard coin into something unique and highly valuable. Errors can range from slight misprints to major mistakes that drastically change the coin's appearance. The 1971 quarter is no exception. One of the most common errors to look for in the 1971 quarter is the double die error. This occurs when the coin is struck more than once, creating a noticeable doubling of certain details on the coin, like the lettering or the design. A double die 1971 quarter can be worth much more than a regular one, depending on the severity of the error. If you happen to find one of these rare double die quarters, it could be worth hundreds, or even thousands, of dollars. Another error to keep an eye out for is the off-center strike. This happens when the coin is not properly aligned during the minting process, resulting in a design that is shifted to one side of the coin. An off-center 1971 quarter, especially one with a significant misalignment, is a rare find and could command a premium price among collectors who are always on the lookout for these types of errors. In addition to these minting errors, the condition of the coin is a critical factor in determining its value. Most of the 1971 quarters that have circulated over the years have been heavily worn from use, which means that finding one in pristine, uncirculated condition is a rarity in itself. Coins that are graded as MS 65, mint state 65, or higher, meaning they have few to no imperfections, are much more valuable than those in average condition. If you happen to come across a 1971 quarter that looks like it just came from the mint, don't let it slip through your fingers. Now, let's get to the part you've been waiting for. How much can a 1971 quarter really be worth? While most of these quarters are still valued at just 25 cents in standard circulation, rare errors and pristine specimens can fetch mind-blowing prices. If you happen to find one of those 1971 quarters with a significant error, or one that has been well preserved in uncirculated condition, you could be sitting on a gold mine. In fact, a 1971 quarter with the right combination of rarity and condition has been known to sell for as much as $73,000. Yes, you read that right, $73,000 for a single 1971 quarter. That's an incredible value for a coin that might seem ordinary at first glance. But that's the beauty of coin collecting. It's all about finding those hidden treasures, those rare and unique coins that can be worth so much more than their face value. So, if you have any 1971 quarters lying around, take a moment to check them closely. Look for errors, examine their condition, and you might just find yourself holding onto a rare and valuable piece of American history. As a coin collector, you know that the thrill of the hunt is what makes this hobby so exciting. And the 1971 quarter is a perfect example of how a seemingly common coin can turn into something extraordinary. Whether you're searching for a rare error or simply looking to add a piece of history to your collection, this coin is one that should definitely be on your radar. Top 4, we're diving into a truly fascinating coin, the 1979 United States quarter dollar. You might be thinking, it's just another quarter, right? Well, not quite. This seemingly ordinary coin has a few surprising secrets, and trust me, by the end of this video, you'll be looking at your pocket change in a whole new light. Let's rewind to 1979. The country was in the midst of a major transition. Jimmy Carter had just become the 39th President of the United States, and the nation was dealing with an economic downturn and rising inflation. But while the world was going through its own upheaval, something interesting was happening at the U.S. Mint. The 1979 quarter, like many other coins of the time, was minted as part of a series that would be circulated widely, but little did anyone know that these coins would become highly sought after by collectors in the years to come. The 1979 quarter, just like its predecessors, features George Washington's iconic image on the obverse, designed by John Flanagan. This portrait has been the face of U.S. quarters for generations. But what makes the 1979 quarter interesting to collectors isn't just the design, it's the unique set of circumstances that make some of these coins rare and highly valuable today. One of the reasons that the 1979 quarter stands out is the production error that occurred during its minting. Errors can happen at the minting process, and when they do, they can make a coin incredibly valuable. For the 1979 quarter, the most significant error is the double die variety. A double die happens when the coin is struck twice during the minting process, causing certain details, like the date, lettering, and sometimes the portrait, to appear doubled. These double die coins are extremely rare and highly coveted by collectors because they're essentially one of a kind. To make things even more interesting, some of the 1979 quarters have an additional variation known as the Type 1 and Type 2 error coins. These differences are due to variations in the minting process, specifically with how the lettering on the coin was engraved. The Type 1 coin has a different font than the Type 2, and collectors can spend hours comparing the two, trying to find those subtle differences. This small variation can have a huge impact on the value of the coin, making the 1979 quarter even more fascinating for collectors looking to complete their sets. Aside from the minting errors, the 1979 quarter is also an interesting piece of history because it marked the end of an era in terms of coin production. In the years that followed, the U.S. Mint would change the design and composition of many of its coins, meaning the 1979 quarter is often seen as one of the last coins minted in this particular style. That alone gives it a certain historical significance, making it even more attractive to collectors looking to own a piece of U.S. minting history. But how much could a 1979 quarter be worth today? You might be surprised. While most of these quarters still only have a face value of 25 cents, there's a rare few that have been known to sell for incredible amounts. If you happen to come across one of the double die or type 1 error coins, you could be sitting on a small fortune. Depending on the condition and rarity, a 1979 quarter could sell for thousands of dollars. In fact, one of the rarest 1979 quarters has been known to fetch as much as $64,000. Yes, $64,000 for a single quarter. You might be asking, how can I find one of these coins? Well, the key is to keep your eyes peeled for those subtle minting errors. While most 1979 quarters will appear as normal coins with no distinguishing features, the errors can be found by closely inspecting the lettering and date. Using a magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe can help you spot these subtle differences. And, if you're fortunate enough to find one in uncirculated condition, meaning it has no wear and tear from being in circulation, your coin's value could increase even more. Another factor that can impact the coin's value is its condition. Coins are graded based on how well they've been preserved, and a coin that is in pristine, uncirculated condition is far more valuable than one that's been heavily circulated. For a 1979 quarter, coins that are graded as MS 65 or higher, mint state 65, are highly prized. The better the condition, the more collectors are willing to pay. Now, even though most of the 1979 quarters you come across won't reach the jaw-dropping $64,000 price tag, the fact that there are error coins out there worth such incredible sums makes this an exciting coin to collect. For collectors, the hunt for a rare 1979 quarter, whether it's a double die, a type 1, or simply an uncirculated coin in excellent condition, adds an extra layer of thrill to the hobby. Every time you inspect a 1979 quarter, you're not just looking at a piece of currency, but a potential treasure that could appreciate in value over time. As always, the key to successful coin collecting is knowledge and patience. The more you learn about coins like the 1979 quarter, the better you'll be at spotting rare and valuable specimens. So, next time you come across a 1979 quarter, take a closer look. It might just be the start of your next great find. Top 5, and last coin. We're diving into a coin that might just change the way you look at your pocket change. Today, we're talking about the 1982 United States quarter dollar. You may think this is just another quarter from the 80s, but wait until you hear about the hidden gems that make this coin so unique and, believe it or not, incredibly valuable to collectors. Let's set the stage. The year 1982 was a time of major changes and transition in the United States. The country was experiencing an economic boom, with inflation beginning to rise and interest rates fluctuating. President Ronald Reagan was in office, ushering in a new era of politics and economics. But at the U.S. Mint, something interesting was happening as well. The 1982 quarter, like the ones before it, featured the iconic portrait of George Washington designed by John Flanagan, but it also became part of an important era in coinage history that would leave behind some very valuable specimens. Now, you might be wondering what could possibly make a coin as common as a 1982 quarter so valuable. Well, there's more to this coin than meets the eye. Like many other coins, the 1982 quarter was minted in large quantities and circulated widely, but what really sets this coin apart are the rare minting errors that collectors are always on the lookout for. These errors, combined with a couple of interesting facts about the 1982 coin itself, can turn an ordinary quarter into a rare collector's item. One of the most intriguing aspects of the 1982 quarter is its potential for minting errors. Minting errors occur when a coin doesn't undergo the typical striking process correctly, creating unusual and rare variations. One of the most common and sought-after errors for the 1982 quarter is the clad layer separation. This happens when the two metals that make up the copper-nickel clad composition, copper and nickel, don't bond correctly during the minting process. As a result, some 1982 quarters were struck with an imperfect metal surface that made them look more unusual than their counterparts. Another error you should be on the lookout for is the off-center strike. This occurs when the coin isn't properly aligned in the coining press, causing part of the design to be cut off on one side of the coin. These off-center strikes are rare and highly sought after by collectors because they make a coin unique and different from the standard issue. If you're lucky enough to find a 1982 quarter with a significant off-center error, you've got a coin that's worth much more than just 25 cents, and then, of course, there's the famous double die error, a prized find among collectors. A double die happens when the coin is struck more than once during the minting process, causing certain design elements, like the date or lettering, to appear doubled. If you have a 1982 quarter with a double die, you might just have one of the rarest and most valuable varieties out there. These coins, especially if they're in pristine condition, can be worth much more than their face value, but it's not just about errors. Condition plays a huge role in the value of the 1982 quarter. As time has passed, most of these quarters have been used in circulation, which means they've been subject to wear and tear. A coin that's been through the daily grind of vending machines, cash registers, and countless hands isn't going to be worth as much as a coin that's been carefully preserved. The best examples of the 1982 quarter are those in uncirculated condition, free from any nicks, scratches, or discoloration. Coins like this are highly sought after by collectors because of their near-perfect state. Now, let's get to the big question: how much is a 1982 quarter worth today? While most of the 1982 quarters you find in your pocket will still be worth just 25 cents, the ones with errors or in pristine, uncirculated condition can fetch a staggering amount. The rarest of the rare 1982 quarters, especially those with major minting errors like the double die, clad layer separation, or off-center strikes, can be worth tens of thousands of dollars. In fact, if you're lucky enough to own one of these exceptional error coins, it could be worth as much as $62,000. Yes, that's right, $62,000 for a single 1982 quarter, a coin that most people would never think twice about tossing into a jar or spending at the store. The key is finding those rare and unique variations that make a coin stand out in the world of collectors. So, how can you tell if you found a valuable 1982 quarter? First, take a close look at the coin. Inspect the date, the lettering, and the edges for any signs of doubling, misalignment, or unusual wear. If you find a coin with a noticeable error, it could be a keeper. And if you come across one in mint or near mint condition, make sure to have it professionally graded to determine its true value. In the world of coin collecting, the 1982 quarter is a fascinating piece of history, with its mix of rarity, minting errors, and collectible appeal. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just getting started, this coin should definitely be on your radar. The thrill of finding a rare minting error is what makes coin collecting so exciting. Who knows, the next time you check your change, you might just discover a valuable treasure that's been hiding in plain sight. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the 1982 United States quarter dollar. If you found this video interesting and want to learn more about the world of rare coins, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and click the notification bell so you never miss an update. We've got plenty more valuable coin discoveries coming your way. Until next time, happy hunting, and remember, every coin could be your next big find.